I will always prefer MMA to boxing. I just can't help it. I will always enjoy MMA more than I will enjoy boxing. I can't do anything about that. I just love to see head kick KOs. I like seeing head kicks, spinning kicks. I like submissions. I think it's way more interesting than boxing overall. However, in the modern combat sports era, boxing is better for boxing fans than MMA is for MMA fans. And when I say MMA, I mean the UFC. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe it's not. We're going to get into that in today's video. But Eddie Hearn just went off on the UFC in Ariel Helwani's recent interview with him. And I completely agree. Boxing is winning. We are losing. Okay? And when I say we, I mean the UFC. Because that's what we're fans of. I like watching MMA as well, but the UFC dominates the market in MMA so much. So when you're talking MMA, 9 times out of 10, you're talking about something going on in the UFC. I'd even go as far and say like 48 times out of 50, 99 times out of 100. Whatever you want to make the percentage, most of the time you're talking about MMA, you're talking about the UFC. It is worse right now than boxing. I'm going to go through a few things in today's video. But I'm going to start by saying this, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to say this in 2025. The reason why boxing is better than the UFC right now and why it's winning is because in boxing, the best fight the best and you get the big fights. I didn't think I'd ever be saying those words. As an MMA fan, I prided myself as a young UFC watcher. In the UFC, the best fight the best. I'm glad the UFC dominates the market because that way the fighters don't have a choice. The best fight the best and we get all the big matchups made and everything's great. And boxing, the best never fight the best. They never fight the best. They never get the big matchups. It's always some guy fighting some guy that he's like a minus 10,000 favorite against. And they'll do that 7, 8, 9, 10 times over and over until they lose and get upset. And then you never get a big fight. Or maybe way down the line, you get some of the big fights. The UFC needs to fight back because boxing is winning right now. I'm going to go through the Eddie Hearn interview and I'm going to show you some other stuff. Look at the screen right now and tell me that boxing is not better than MMA. This is all you need to watch right now. All you need to see is on the screen right here. The UFC don't promote anything. They're coasting. They've got the fans. They don't care about appeasing the fans that are already there. They've got us. We're going to watch regardless. And I am going to watch regardless. I'm fucking addicted to this. And I can't stop watching. And I hate it. But I can't stop. And they know they've got me. They know that we're addicted to this. I'll watch a shitty early prelim opener on an Apex. I don't know why. I'm going to do it though. Why? Why am I doing it? I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'll just watch an Apex early prelim opener between 2 women. I don't care, but I'm watching. They don't care anymore. They don't care about the fans they've already got. They've got us. Okay? They've won. We're hooked. They care about just getting new ones to watch. And while they're doing that, I'm getting sick of it. Look at the screen right now. I think there's a Ramirez and a Barboza somewhere on screen. I'm a casual boxing fan. Okay? Teofimo Lopez. Ryan Garcia. Rolly Romero. Devin Haney. Look at this roster. They're sitting down to talk about the triple header roundtable. The triple header boxing card. In Times Square. The stars of Fatal Fury, Times Square, come together. This is an upcoming boxing card tomorrow. The day after, Canelo is fighting. We don't have anything on boxing right now. I'm going to talk more about this as the video goes on, but I just need to show, we don't get this. The UFC don't promote like this. You can go on the UFC page. We get Nina fucking drama. And a clip of the fighters that will get views and will get numbers. It's fight week. Sandhagen image of him winning a fight. That'll be Bo Nickel winning a fight. That'll be Figueiredo winning a fight. That'll be Reina Dorida winning a fight. UFC X 2 months away, tickets on sale. This will be Daniel Marcos winning a fight. Gillian Robertson winning a fight. That's all we get is little clips like that. We don't get no promotion other than Nina Drama going, I mean, what would you do if aliens came to Earth? Do you think that, what do you wash in a shower? Are you guy that scrubs your shins? That's all she does. That's the extent of the promotion we're getting. That's the alternative from the timeline. A gorilla. I wonder, listen, I was going to make a fucking 100 fucking people versus a gorilla video. They latch onto some current trend that's going on. A picture of Corey Sandhagen and the rest of the fighters for the Iowa card. A picture of Figueiredo. And the YouTube page of the UFC is not any better. A finish from Bo Nickel, a finish from Figueiredo, a finish from Montel Jackson, who's on the card, a finish from Jeremy Stevens. There's no interest. And Nina Drama asking Jose Aldo, who's a celebrity lookalike? Have you got a celebrity lookalike? Any wild fan moments? That's all we get. That's all we get right now in the sport. This is the equivalent of, and I need this to be put into perspective, this card this weekend for boxing. And by the way, this doesn't even get started. I'll talk more once I go through the Eddie Hearn interview in a second. But this is honestly the equivalent of a card with all of these fighters on it and having them all in the same place, talking shit back and forth. Gaethje, Poirier, a Makachev, you know, a Charles Oliveira, and then plus a Paddy Pimblett and a so-and-so. That's the equivalent. We would never get that in MMA. We would never have the UFC do that for us. Where we could have some kind of organic interaction between the fighters that are fighting each other on camera before the fight. I'm going to go through the open workouts. We don't do them anymore in the UFC. The face-offs, we don't do them. But let's just go through Eddie Hearn's interview because he says a lot of things and I'm gonna add on to it as we go through because I've already yapped for 7 minutes. I'm passionate about this, okay? Eddie Hearn. Here we go. Let's just take it away with Eddie Hearn. He goes in. I probably answered all of it already because I just can't help. I fucking can't help myself. I'm losing my mind with the UFC.
We had the conversation the other day. Boxing right now.
Yep.
I mean, MMA, and you know, I know.
Tell us.
It's a poor relative.
We shouldn't be letting them little bro us. How dare boxing think they can do this? But they can. How dare boxing be in a fucking position in Big 2025 to lil bro MMA? To lil bro the UFC? Are we in a competition? Or is Dana White, I swear to God, is shit at his job? He invented something new. This is exactly, dude. Just because someone's the first person to do it, don't make them the fucking best to do it. I swear to God. That's honestly what it comes down to. Well done. You brought a cage fighting sport to the top. It's very impressive. But within the promotional world, he don't hold a candle to any other promoter in the industry. Because he don't do jack shit. And no one in the UFC does jack shit to promote fights. How dare boxing in 2025 have the audacity to start talking like this about the UFC? They were supposed to be done. Cooked. Ruined. Rubble by now. And the UFC should have taken over. Well, all good.
You know, and it's never really been that way. UFC, Running A Royal, and listen, I'll never criticise the UFC. I think it's
I will.
Unbelievable brand, but it's not their fault, really, what's happening. I'm sure.
It is! This is the thing with Eddie Hearn. He's going to be political, and he's going to, because he's buddies with Dana. Why are you buddies with a boxing promoter, Dana? It should be war, okay? But it's all good. He's buddies with him. He's nice with Dana. Dana's coming into the boxing world. Yeah, rub shoulders. And it's no fault of the UFC. It absolutely is fault of the UFC. No doubt about it. We don't fucking get this. We don't get any open workout with Devin Haney's dad watching on as Ryan Garcia does the open workout. They were getting into arguments as Ryan Garcia was hitting the mitts. The face-off. We used to get these moments. So it can be done. This is Jorge Masvidal and Darren Till. This has 1.3 million views for a fight night main event when they did this. These guys weren't at the peak of their stardom. Till maybe was. But he's still well known now. Masvidal hadn't really got there yet. He was coming back after a long time off. He was known, but he weren't the Masvidal of the Diaz fight, the BMF, the going into the Usman fight, the flying knee over Askren. And it still got loads and loads of views. We used to get this all the time. We used to get DC and John Jones sat in a room next to each other talking about what's going to happen. You know? I'm prepared to die to beat you. Well, be prepared to do that, DC. Be prepared to do that. And we get those moments. We don't get those moments anymore, man. We get fucking clips of who won the fight, a free fight on YouTube. That's it. Some images of them outside the arena with a thumbs up. Who would win 100 men or a bear? Questions to Marab and fighters that aren't even on the card, by the way. So it's not directly attached to promoting the card. It's just like, let's get some social media interaction for the UFC. And then we get Nina drama. And that's the extent of promotion. I would argue right now, and I'm not saying this lightly, without fans making edits and fans putting up stuff on YouTube and stuff on TikTok and MMA YouTubers that promote fights and talk about the fights, the UFC would genuinely be fucking irrelevant. I'm being real. Without MMA YouTubers, without fans that do the edits and all of that, what is there? What is there that promotes the UFC? A press conference for a pay-per-view once a month. That's it. The weigh-ins, a press conference for a pay-per-view once a month, and a fucking shitty social media post once a day of a fighter getting a finish in the build-up to whatever fight's going on the weekend. We should have face-offs every card for main events. Maybe not all of them, but when it warrants it, when they're top contenders, we should get them talking back and forth. That should be there. That would get hundreds of thousands of views. Sandhagen, Figueiredo even. I know Figueiredo don't speak English. But if they both speak English, if they both can communicate with each other at a fucking bare minimum, let's just say, if they can both communicate with each other, we should be having face-offs. Just keep going, Eddie Hearn. Because he's cooking.
People will feel like they could have done some things different. It's all cyclical. And obviously with Turki Al-Sheikh's investment, Saudi Arabia's investment in boxing, you're seeing bigger fights, bigger nights, but also more thinking outside the box.
It shouldn't take some fucking absolute fucking idiot to like spend hundreds of millions to get this shit done. They're all under contract in the UFC. This is the thing that annoys me. I was very pro the UFC having all of the control. But when you're not going to fucking do anything with all of the control, what the fuck are they under full control for? Like, the only payoff for the UFC having utter domination over their fighters, so they don't have free agency, they can't waltz off elsewhere, they can't do anything else, was that we would actually get them doing things and doing as they're fucking told. Now we got a bunch of fucking nothing going on. We're waiting years for contenders to come back and fight someone in the rankings of their division. Some guy gets to a title fight, loses, and all of a sudden his career's done to him. I don't care anymore. I guess I'll just show up here and, I fought for a title, I guess, and lost. So, I'm about done. See you next year. Maybe I'll fight. Who knows? What is going on right now?
And that comes really with spending money. You look at these promos, you look at the closing of time.
Oh my God, I'm going to get so annoyed by this shit. Maybe I have to get YouTube Premium. That comes with spending money and I don't have YouTube Premium. It is what it is.
This weekend on DAZN, you've got Friday night in Times Square with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. 24 hours later, you've got Canelo Alvarez's debut in Saudi Arabia for the Undisputed Championship. That's within 24 hours.
They're running the game. Why are boxing running combat sports? It's shit. I'm sorry. I swear to God, boxing, I rate what they're doing right now with the big fights when it comes to Bivol Bertabiev and Fury Usyk and, before Usyk Joshua and Fury versus Wilder, the trilogy that they had. And it kind of died down a bit after that. But, now we're getting Terence Crawford. He's fighting. Again, I don't know if it's even confirmed that Crawford's fighting Canelo Alvarez, but we're getting big fights going. You know, Inoue's on the scene, and there's always something going on in boxing. It feels like we just had Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. just last week. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. Now we've got this with all of these names on the card. And then we've got Canelo Alvarez on the weekend. MMA just hasn't got shit going on in the sport. And they could. They could have shit going on. I swear to God, I almost feel like they're keeping these guys from being active intentionally. To just do the bare minimum throughout the year. It's so lame that boxing is able to do this. Because you want to know why? Boxing is shit. Promotionally, it's way better than MMA. It's way better because they actually have promoters that promote the fights. That's why it's better. I swear to God, most boxing fights, all it is a conversation about a fucking controversial decision. Bivol Bertabiev. It's almost like the fight itself don't even exist. Like every time there's a boxing matchup, most people are talking about scorecards than the actual fight itself. Usyk Fury, you know? All of these fights. Unless it's like a one-sided beatdown or someone gets knocked out. Some kind of controversy. Tank Davis's last fight, he took the knee in the middle of the fight. It was a weird decision. Most of the time, that's all people are talking about. Is the fact that there was some weird decision or the scorecards and the judges, this. They're not talking about a knockdown that happened because most of the time a knockdown don't fucking happen. I swear to God a knockdown doesn't happen. You could bet your fucking money. Honestly, this year, if you would have put some money, I reckon this goes to a split decision. If you were a betting man on boxing, you'd make fortunes betting on these massive fights because they're always split decisions. But they are actually promoting the fights and getting people invested. And the UFC is not at all.
You're just coming off the back of 65,000 people at Spurs. You know, July 12th, wherever that's going to be. Like, boxing's on fire right now.
It is.
On fire. It's controlling all the narrative digitally across social media on a far different level to MMA and UFC right now. And I'm just, you know, I'm delighted to be a part of it.
And it's true. It's true. It's controlling all the narrative because guess what? Even when they're not talking about it, fans can make things about it and edits and clips that go viral, that get like 100 million views or tens of millions of views with hundreds of thousands of likes on a clip of like when this goes wrong or when this guy had the perfect comeback to someone in a boxing press conference. But we don't get that because the press conferences in the UFC are shit. And we don't even give the fans that are actually going to try and promote it and the people that do random... Dude, why is a fucking random Indian guy doing better edits than the UFC does? Why is a TikTok person getting more viral stuff going on about UFC fighters than the UFC Instagram page? Employ them? Bring them in. I'd be scouting out people that are making those clips and being like, you're pretty good at this, dude. You've had a few viral clips on your channel. Come in. I'll pay you. You know what I mean? You can get the revenue, but we'll have you on the team here in the UFC. Can you do this for some of the fighters? We have this guy coming up. Give us a Fighting Nerds edit to post on our UFC Instagram page. The Fighting Nerds movement, I swear to God, was entirely fan-driven. We created the hype for that. Everyone was in on the Fighting Nerds. The edits were going around. Full Violence is an Instagram page. They were constantly posting about the Fighting Nerds. And it was a fan-driven thing. The UFC barely fucking jumped on board with that. They have no desire to please at all. And they need this wake-up call. I swear to God, you could clear out every fucking staff member that runs the UFC right now and put me, Lucas Tracy, and Bedtime MMA in there, and we'd run the show way better. We'd actually probably run the promotional side of things, at least, way better than anyone else. They probably have about 50 old people sitting in a conference room in an office. Doing what? What are you doing? It's all good. I need to let people speak.
Part of the problem is the UFC got so big that, like I referred to it last week, it's become McDonald's. So it's all very rinse repeat. They're all wearing the same thing. Every event looks the same. Do you think it's lost some of that magic, some of that soul? Like, look at this weekend. Friday will not look like this past Saturday, and this past Saturday won't look like Saturday night in Riyadh. It all looks different, big. There's a spectacle involved. There's pageantry. I miss that.
You know, it's interesting when you meet with these brands.
And he moves on to another topic. But I agree with Ariel. The UFC's so shit, it's got me agreeing with Ariel. Do you understand what I'm being driven to? Ariel's absolutely correct. Where is the theme? There's no more someone goes to someone's hometown to beat them in MMA anymore. Very rarely do we get that. We sometimes get it for London. We sometimes get it in other times. But we don't get someone going into enemy territory anymore. We're not in South America. We're not in Europe. Yuri's been in the UFC for so long. Why the fuck hasn't there been a UFC Fight Night Prague? Jan Blachowicz was a world champion. A sick fighter as a world champion as well. Why weren't you in Poland? Why aren't you making that part of the storyline? Where someone walks out to a hostile crowd and another guy walks out to a crowd of people who adore them. That's how you create stars. We're losing that. We're absolutely losing that part of the sport. Dricus du Plessis is a South African MMA champion. And Dana White will say, oh, we don't have the arena for it. Fucking who cares? You're in the fucking Apex. You had world champions fighting a fucking Apex arena. We don't have the arena for this. They don't have the capacity. And go to South Africa. Dricus du Plessis is the champ from South Africa. We may never get one again. That's a very real possibility. Dricus du Plessis might genuinely be the only African native world champion who's in Africa. I don't want to start this whole Adesanya Dricus du Plessis beef thing again, but we have no theme anymore. Dricus du Plessis is going to be fighting in Canada against Sean Strickland in Canada. Why? Why? If they don't have the talent, don't go there, dude. If Canada's so soy, they don't have a fucking single fucking combat sports fighter after GSP paved the way. Imagine GSP paving a way for your nation just for you to have no fucking fighting ability whatsoever. Zero fighting ability moving forward. They should be ashamed of themselves. I'll be real. And you know what they should get? No combat sport events. Because you don't got no fighters. JDM, Bilal Muhammad. I mean, I get maybe not being in Palestine right now, but Chicago? Bilal's from Chicago. Yeah, you go to Chicago for an event. We're going there later in the year. Bilal's not on it. Okay, cool. JDM, if he wins the belt, maybe we'll go to Australia. There's no theme. We had Makhachev Volkanovski where Makhachev went into Australia to fight Volk. The storyline. Makhachev walking out to a hostile crowd. But now it's just America, Abu Dhabi. America, Abu Dhabi. Ooh, a pay-per-view at 5 a.m. in the UK in Manchester. America, Abu Dhabi. America, Abu Dhabi. Mexico. They don't have a fucking champ. America, Abu Dhabi. American Abu Dhabi. Canada. Wow, dude, out of nowhere we're going to Canada. Why? Why? Why aren't you going to Brazil with Pantoja? I know Brazil's shit, and I've shat on them before. They're a shitty crowd, and they're a shitty set of fans. They are. They're horrible. They don't know a good thing when they got it. They let Glover Teixeira retire in the octagon to dead silence. Where's the themes? The custom shorts are one thing, I get it, but where's the themes? Where's the storyline? Where's something to promote? It used to be all the time back in the day in the UFC. Someone would be in their hometown with a belt, and the other one would be going there to get it from them. And that would somehow sell the fight. You're dumb, man. No one gives a fuck about a South African guy and some fucking guy from Dagestan fighting in Vegas. There's no storyline to that. And I know there's limitations based on wars around the world. I get it, but we need something. Rather than all of these guys, oh, who's going to be in Iowa? Iowa? It's all good. It's all good. Let me let it play, and we'll go to another moment in Ariel Helwani's interview with Eddie Hearn. I swear to God, if it gets any worse, I'm genuinely going to target my life to run the UFC one day, because I think I'd do way better with it. I want to talk about this as well. I, as an MMA YouTuber, just spend my time thinking, what can I fucking get going? What can I do? That Bryce Mitchell thing. Let's make it happen, dude. Let's make Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silver one of the biggest fights ever. I didn't do it on my own. I didn't do it. I didn't promote that fight. It was promoted by the fans, okay? And by them, Bryce Mitchell and Gene Silver themselves. They hyped up that fight, and I just saw it and went, let me try and amplify this. Let me get this going. Let me do stuff on Fight Week. Let me react to an interview he did. And that got views. That got 200K views, 300K interview with Bryce Mitchell. The UFC don't do anything like that. They see hype and they go, let them do it if they want. They can hype it up if they want. Who cares? We'll have Nina interview one of them, I guess. Just send Nina out there and it's just tits with gay questions for them to answer. Like, it's just lame. It's lame. I feel like I could do a better job promoting the UFC. Ian Gary this weekend against Carlos Prates. The Fighting Nerds fans made all the edits. All of the Instagram pages, the viral TikToks, I imagine, and all of this shit is all being done by fans. The UFC ain't doing none of it. They'll just show a finish of Prates and show a finish of Ian Gary. They should have had a face-to-face interview if they had bad blood going into it. They can both speak the same language. Both speak English, both speak Portuguese. We could have had a back and forth where they start shit talking in English and then switch to fucking language. That would have took off and gone somehow viral online. I'm literally, as a fan who has become a YouTuber, trying to create fun for myself in the sport now. Like, how can I make myself invested in some of these fights? How can I amplify my excitement levels for this fight? What can I do? Is it like now Buckley versus Ian Gary? The UFC will not push that angle. They won't. I know it's a childish angle, but I'm trying to make it fun for myself. You know? With the Adesanya and Duplessis thing. And the Strickland Adesanya thing, when I give him the thing to say at the press conference and Duplessis the thing to say, and it makes it fun, and now I'm involved, you know? The UFC doesn't involve the fans. They just say, oh, watch it if you want. If you don't, you can watch something else. We will soon enough. Let it play. I'm the one controlling it. I'm telling my finger to click, I guess. Let it play, finger.
I was going to talk about a saying there, but it doesn't. There's a saying, and this is not reflective of the UFC at all, but sometimes it can be reflective of products in general. Polishing a turd.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is what we say in the UK, right? Which means that you take something and you just give it a polish. Turd's probably not the right reflection for the UFC because it's a brilliant product, but...
No, it is. It's shit. It's not hard to set up a camera team and get an event recorded with good sound quality. It really isn't. Like I know it's difficult from like someone who doesn't know how to do it. But at this point, you can, like, the formula is there. You're just maintaining it. You're not reinventing it every single week. It's not the Sphere every single week, is it, in the UFC? You know? So it is a turd. The UFC is a turd, and it's not even polished. It's just withering away. Oh, that turd, it's collapsing a bit. Give it some life. Someone take another fresh shit, and we'll do another Apex card. As long as there's a turd there, it's fine. We're not even polishing the turd.
But, you know, you got to revamp it a little bit. You got to remodel it. And sometimes you do that if the talent wasn't quite there. You need a different look and a fresher look. Like if they had, I don't know, Conor McGregor fighting, if Khabib was still around, I'm a bit of a casual. Forgive me. But, you know, if Aspinall was fighting John Jones, you know, we wouldn't be...
Why are we saying if with that? It's so annoying that we have to say if.
Sitting here saying, it's just a bit tired, isn't it? It's really down to the actual product, which is the fights. And I just feel like they haven't got... Like, if you said to me now, name me 6 UFC superstars, I couldn't do it. I could give you the ones that seem to keep losing.
We'll get into what you said about the losing thing.
UFC superstars, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. I'm not because I know everyone. I could name you 3 fucking guys unranked. I can name you 6 Cage Warriors fighters. You know what I mean? But I agree with Eddie Hearn here. I can't name you 6 UFC superstars. I can't. I'll try. There's Alex Pereira, there's Islam Makhachev. I think those 2 are superstars in the sport. Bilal is not. No welterweight contender underneath him is a superstar. At middleweight, I don't think Dricus du Plessis is a superstar. Chimaev, I think, is somewhat. And if he got the belt, maybe he would be. So I think that would make 3. I don't think Adesanya's got it. Okay, it was kind of forced on us. Okay, he got a bit of a following, I understand, but now he's been losing and, you know, his wins carried his success in terms of his popularity, I would say. So I wouldn't call him a superstar. I would call him a star in the sport. Pereira just lost to Ankalaev as well, so that's dwindling. Pereira's stardom is based on success. It's based on intimidation. It's based on him being this monster that can't be beat. I think John Jones. But if John Jones doesn't have the right dance partner, he's not a superstar. The Anthony Smith fight, the Thiago Santos fight. Who in the UFC is going to sell 1 million pay-per-view buys? And I'm not saying boxing is consistently doing that, but they're at least getting close with some of their cards. You know? They're at least getting close. They're at least shutting down the whole world to talk about what just happened in that boxing match. Ilya Topuria, I would say, is a superstar in the UFC. He's maybe right there about to become one. I can't name 6. I know Volkanovski. I don't think he is. I think Holloway's lost it a bit. You know what's starting to happen to the UFC? The guys that are coming off losses are starting to sort of see a little dwindle. We're not rallying behind them as much. You want to know why? Because they're starting to act a little fucking differently. They're not coming off losses and saying, I'll do whatever it takes to get back to the top. And Charles Oliveira, I love Charles Oliveira. I think he is a star. He was beloved. He could lose and get right back in there. Next toughest challenger. Put me in there against him. I'll earn my way back. Now we're getting Charles Oliveira losing, and it's Michael Chandler, and he sits out, and I want my title shot, and I want this, and I want that. We're probably going to see Topuria Oliveira get booked for International Fight Week. That's my assumption. But man, we ain't got shit going on. And I swear to God, I was talking about this on stream the other day. I'm going to rant a bunch this video because there's a lot of things I want to get through here. We have a certain... The fans of Belal, Umar, Khabib... Makhachev's very fun to watch, so I don't really like putting him in this. Khabib as well was as well. But Belal, Umar Nurmagomedov... A lot of fans right now in the UFC are genuinely rooting for what's worse and what's less interesting and less fun. It's the lamest thing ever. They want their guy to win... So they're hating on entertaining fighters. Marab fans. Marab isn't that boring, I know, but where's the KOs? You need KOs, man. You need finishes. You need submissions. I'm not asking for wheel kicks and head kicks. Give me a rear naked choke finish, one of you. You know? We've got a lot of these guys right now that are winning these belts. Ankalaev is the same, and everyone's rejoicing that Pereira lost. Why? Why are you rejoicing that? You know, we got a lot of these fans that are just there to have their guy win, but they don't care about the sport. They don't care about an actual fight going down. And we're not doing anything to prevent it. We got a lot of champions right now that you can go into a fight with them and think, this will be a decision. That's not good. That used to be what separated us from boxing. And we have that fan base that is the Ankalaev fans, who has been fun before in his career, I understand, but not as much recently. But Ankalaev fans and Belal Muhammad fans and Umar Nurmagomedov fans, Marab fans. And they're genuinely acting like they enjoy it. And they may do, but you should enjoy savagery more. That's what separated the UFC. And these guys are just so it's almost like they're coping. They're coping so much with the fact that the guys that represent them maybe... Or they're not even from there. They just believe the same thing. I don't want to get too technical, but they're just happy that they represent them and they'll just justify them being the most entertaining. I see comments like it all the time. He was the most entertaining on the card. And I'm like, where's this guy from? Oh, the same place as that boring fighter's from. And it's not just Umar and Belal this time. I saw a David Onama comment saying some shit like that. That he was the standout performance of the card. And I'm like, dude, Randy Brown just killed Nicholas Dalby. That was the most standout performance. And we're getting a lot of that in the sport now. And they're starting to shun fighters that lose. It's no longer cool to lose. He's good. He got dropped by so-and-so. Well, guess what? When you try and pull savage shit and you're in there for a cage fight and not to win a decision against someone, you get dropped. You get cut. And we're starting to shun that now. We're becoming boxing and boxing is becoming MMA. I swear it's true.
I could give you the ones that seem to keep losing quite a bit and then just come back. Do you know what I mean? But, but again, was that just a period with Khabib and Conor and like those kind of
As you
guys.
said last week, it is
It was a period with Conor. Khabib was not a star before Conor. He had a following, but he wasn't a star, man. He was a star because the Conor fight was there and the beef with Conor was there. And afterwards, Khabib did become a star because he was the guy that beat Conor and finished him, you know? Same with Diaz. Diaz had a fan base. He did. He was known, but it was Conor. I think the UFC expected, oh, now Conor's here. Everyone's going to get to witness all these other amazing personalities and they'll just naturally fall in love with another prospect or another fighter. And they started also trying to force things on us. This guy is the star in the UFC. And I'm like, dude, nobody likes this guy. You know? This was the Adesanya thing when he was getting pushed as this star. I'm like, dude, the Romero fight was shit. That was a shit fight, man. So many people tuned into that and it was shit. Then the Vettori rematch with him happened. And then, you know, oh, superstar performance. Isn't he so amazing? Like, no, it was a shit fight. We need something. This is what separated Pereira on his rise. Sleeping people, saving cards. That's what made him a star. But after McGregor, I feel like the UFC just thought things would happen naturally. It didn't. And then they just started trying to force it. And that really didn't work. Naturally, Pereira rose to the top and kept winning. And they positioned his career and held him back certain matchups. And I get they tried. But man. There is... Oh, whatever. There's so much more. This is
cyclical, but look at how people reacted to the walkout on Saturday. They refuse to do that. They actually tell the fighters, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so to me, what drew me to the fight game was Tyson wearing all black with the towel and the boots. And what drew me to UFC was Chuck Liddell had shorts with, you know, icicles on it, and Tito Ortiz had fire. Like, I like the characters. I like pro wrestling.
That's Ariel's fan. He's a WWE fan at 40-something years old. Okay. Rare, but he's there, and he's a big fan of WWE. So that's what brought him to the sport. And I actually completely get the point. It's not what brought me to the sport. What brought me to the sport was Pettis jumping off the cage and head kicking Benson Henderson. You know? Anderson Silva styling on someone. Jones letting Lyoto Machida's body limply drop to the canvas. Savagery. Robbie Lawler as champ. McGregor coming along, calling his shots and knocking people the fuck out. That's what drew me to the sport. McGregor made me a hardcore fan. I was a casual fan before. And then McGregor was like, well, if this guy's coming up, he's hilarious. He's from our region of the world. He's getting knockouts. I'll start watching the prelims. And I started becoming a hardcore fan because of McGregor. But we don't have those guys. We have the Fighting Nerds, but I don't see no Fighting Nerds edits on the UFC's thing. We have Full Violence doing stuff with them. And other Twitter pages posting stuff that might get some heat about them, not the UFC. The UFC don't do shit with all that. But yeah, I understand Ariel's point about the shorts and the walkouts. I don't like the walkouts to be too crazy. I'll be honest with you. I really don't like the walkouts to be too crazy. I don't like the pyrotechnics, the flames going off. I think it's too much. That's what boxing is bad at. And I don't like that we're now resorting to that to make things interesting. So I don't know what's really changed there. And I don't think it's something to do with customizable shorts. I don't think that just magically makes Bilal Muhammad interesting to people. I don't. I really don't. I don't think, if Bilal Muhammad had a crazy walkout and some special shorts, all of a sudden people would find him a star. I think the culture of the sport is going in a bad direction. And there's no promotion. Lean into the fact that people hate Bilal Muhammad in the promotion. Lean into that. When people, you know what? When the people hated Woodley, Dana started shitting on Woodley. And it kind of made Woodley a star, whether you like it or not. Nobody liked Woodley. Woodley was annoying. Woodley was having shit fights back to back to back. The Maya fight, the Wonderboy rematch, whether it's his fault or not, he had a lot of fights that were just very, very dull. Dana starts shitting on Woodley. But he's justifying Adesanya Romero. You know, he's justifying other fights that go on as well. Barely shits on Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 3 or 2 or whatever number it was. I fell asleep. I don't remember. But we don't have that. That used to be something. This is the guy that everyone hates. But now that's not. Like him, everyone. How about encourage hatred of them? Like I do with certain fighters. Not everyone has to be liked. I get Ariel's point. And it did make the sport a bit more interesting to have the customization of the fighters. And maybe we do need to bring back letting them have different shorts. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's the answer. I think bringing back this is the answer. I really think bringing back this is the answer. With Till and Masvidal. I think this would fix so many problems. And it's just one simple thing they could do. Bringing this back is the answer. End of discussion. Customizable shorts, walkouts, it is. I could take it or leave it. Different commentary, I don't care. I don't listen to it anyway. I'm just there to watch the fights. If they get heated in one of these moments, or even if they don't and they get respectful, but there's an edge, there's a competitive edge. Don't have these guys doing the major promotions for the fights when they're about to start cutting weight or already in the middle of it. Please, for the love of God, bring back the face-to-faces. We need them to. We need this in the sport. Bilal Muhammad, JDM. How unlikable Bilal could come across in a face-to-face with JDM. JDM giving him some one-liners like, yeah, I guess we'll find out. And then looking at Bilal and sort of gritting his jaw. And then I can already see the cut. It's not about if it promotes it there and then before the fight. It's about hindsight sometimes. You know? Things can come across boring in the build-up that would be very, very cool in the aftermath if a result goes a certain way. Bilal could be yapping and chatting shit and this. And then JDM gives a one-line answer like, I'm not really here to talk. I'm just here to fucking do my fucking work and knock him out. Yeah, you ain't gonna fucking do that, JDM. What are you gonna fucking do? You gonna fucking land on me? I thought you get taken down by throwing. Bilal's going off on this, and yeah, I guess we'll find out, won't we? And then grits his jaw, and then it just cuts to him knocking out Bilal Muhammad and piecing him up against the cage. That's a viral thing. But we don't even have the material from the UFC to make viral moments. There's no interaction from the fighters leading up to big fights, unless they're on a pay-per-view. In which case it's a shitty press conference where they can barely hear each other and they're in the middle of cutting weight anyway. We need a face-to-face mandatory for pay-per-views. Mandatory. O'Malley Marab 2 face-to-face. It's different face-to-face. They're not trying to win over some crowd. They're not trying to win over. They're talking to each other. There's no answering questions that a media member asks them. They're face-to-face talking with each other. Till and Masvidal were incredibly respectful in the build-up of this. They didn't say anything bad about each other, but there was a fucking edge to it. And it made it real. It made it a fight that's going down. Why are you avoiding interactions between the fighters leading up to championship fights and instead making and ensuring their interactions with Nina Drama, with random media members? I'll see randomly, like in terms of a media obligation that a champion has, some Yahoo Sports interview with 2K views in 2 days on YouTube. He had to do that for Media Day? He had to do that on the UFC's demands? Fuck that. Fuck that. Have them in a room face to face with each other. Imagine a Gene Silver Bryce Mitchell one. An Ian Gary Joaquin Buckley one in the future if that fight ends up aligning. We're not going to get any of those moments, but we need them. I'd have this mandatory for pay-per-views and mandatory for championship fights at least and top contender matchups, even if it was like a Max Holloway, Dan Hooker. And they were just talking about how they really want to go out there and have a fucking war. And it wasn't 24 minutes long. It was a 10-minute one. Misfits Boxing do this shit. Why don't you? Why don't you? What has prevented this from happening? If you are willing to risk DC and John Jones in the build-up of their rematch, sit with just 5'1" gnome Joe Rogan separating them, what's the risk with anyone else? We need this. We need this back. And this is Eddie Hearn going in on like what he thinks about the UFC as well, to speak more on the fact that they want to be bigger than the fighters themselves.
I feel like UFC, the problem is with UFC is I always feel like they always want the brand to be bigger, their brand to be bigger than that of the fighter. And when a star like Conor McGregor comes around, everything changes. And I don't think they really like that. You know, and I think Dana coming into boxing is going to be brilliant for boxing. But I do think that...
Do you really, though? Do you really?
Yes, I do, because it's going to be great profile. And also, why is
I
he
felt
there?
like on that day...
Can I just say this as well? Do you really, though? Do you really? I know Ariel doesn't like Dana, and I don't either. He's a fat, bald fuck. But I also don't like Ariel. Why is Dana doing something big for boxing when he's the president of the UFC? Is boxing doing anything that's good for MMA right now or the UFC? Ask yourself that question. Seriously, we have to start questioning whether or not Dana should be in charge based on this information. I swear to God we should. Why? And I ask you this one more time. Is Dana White, let me put it in this term, Dana White, the president of the UFC, taking time away from being the president of the UFC to do something big in boxing and to get into the boxing industry? For money, for himself, I understand. If I was running the UFC, I would never fucking do a good thing for boxing ever again. Ever! Boxing can get fucked as far as I'm concerned. I'm trying to run it into the ground and make my sport better. Because that's what boxing's trying to do to the UFC when they spot Sandhagen they've got Sandhagen Figueiredo in Iowa. Let's put this shit on. That's what they're doing. They're running amok. I remember a time when Canelo had to wait while Masvidal and Diaz fought, and his whole fight got delayed. Embarrassing for boxing. Why is the president of the UFC, Dana White, taking time away, not showing up to press conferences, not doing fuck all in terms of promotion for the UFC, taking time away to do something in boxing? If I'll tell you this right now, if there was a Chinese restaurant on one side of the road and an Indian restaurant on the other side of the road, and the Indian restaurant owner or co-owner, let's just say, or one of the owners amongst like 7 or 8 of the owners of that shop, bear with me here, were to go over to the Chinese shop and think, how can I help this place? The other 7 owners of the Indian shop that just watched him go over to the Chinese shop and restaurant and watched him try and benefit that, they would fucking fire him. What are you doing over in boxing? Get back here and do your fucking job, you bald fuck. I swear to God, that's almost exactly what it's like. Why are you doing that? You're in competition. You're on the same street. You're on the same high street. Indian restaurant, Chinese restaurant. One of the owners of the Indian restaurant's going over to help the fucking Chinese restaurant. Guess what? The Indian restaurant doors are fucking closed to you. It's shit over here. No pun intended about the Indian part. But it's shit in the Indian restaurant. And not that there is shit in there. It just is. And the Chinese restaurant's already doing good. Why are you going over there? You can't come back in. End of discussion. The doors are locked to you. And you're fired. And you're no longer in charge. So annoying.
You handled it so well. The next day, I think you announced the Johnny Fisher fight, right?
Yeah.
And you were hit with all these questions. But internally, like, they're coming in and saying, you guys are shit. Your thing is dead.
Yeah,
you handled it. I thought you handled it brilliantly.
If you back yourself, right? And this is just me because call me deluded or whatever, but those guys, in my opinion, won't be able to lace my boots in boxing promotion.
I actually believe Eddie Hearn. What the fuck is Dana going to do in the boxing promotion? Let's face it, what this is Dana being Turkey Al Sheikh's fucking lapdog. Getting paid money for it. And let me tell you this, if Dana has an idea and Turkey Al Sheikh has a different one, they're going with Turkey Al Sheikh's idea. He's just bending over for the oil prince. Bending over for him. And just going to do as he's fucking told. On this new promotion that they're trying to do in boxing. It's going to be shit. It's going to be a flop compared to the rest of the boxing events. I swear.
Now, as a business, as an organisation, as UFC, unbelievable. But
awful. Awful, not unbelievable at all. 47-19.
Price to the business model.
Right.
I think he'll want to go in and do the business right.
Can he do both, though? Can he be the president of UFC and the president of this promotion? Yes. I don't like the word.
No. And it's about time we start saying no. It's about time we start really heavily pushing the narrative that Dana White should be fired for this behavior. Ariel just said it best. Look at what they got. I'm agreeing with Ariel now for the greater good. How can you be the UFC president and be doing a boxing fucking promotion that you're now focusing on while you're the UFC president and the face of the UFC? You're gone, buddy. End of your fucking road. You're a traitor to the sport. You're letting down the entire company. You can't do both. You're all in or you're not there. I don't care if you're friends with the Nelk boys or if you're fun to insult at a fucking media day. If this is you just doing something else while we just get a coast, you're just coasting the UFC on cruise control for us with shitty Apex cards. We need him gone. We need no more fucking Apex.
League, I think it's more of a promotion, to be honest. But can you do both?
No.
Yeah, but it's just, you know.
Eddie Hearn knows you can't. Is Eddie Hearn starting his MMA league? No. He's all in on his boxing promotion. He knows that you can't do both. But Dana doesn't do both because he don't fucking do the UFC promotion.
Maybe MMA and UFC is at a point where that needs 100% of focus. So if you start diverting, what's going to happen there? I mean, you know, before you know it, if you start losing attention and focus there and swivel into boxing, someone might come over here.
That's true. I hate that I'm getting these fucking stupid adverts in the middle of it, but that's so fucking true. And I don't think anyone's going to threaten the UFC's position. I just think MMA as a whole will die out otherwise. I don't think there'll be a promotion that beats it. PFL won't. It's shit. It just isn't the same. The UFC needs to be good and on top, or MMA will absolutely crumble to boxing. And there'll never be another one like it. Fact.
And focus there and swivel into boxing, someone might come over here.
Right.
And switch things up. Do you know what I mean?
Not... Do I need to fucking run the UFC? I don't even know what's going on anymore. But I just needed to get that out of my system. Shit's pissing me off. Dana out. Bring back the face-to-faces. All right? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to be a UFC fan these days. It really is. Because they don't care about you. They're not trying to get you to pay for things. They're not trying to get you to watch. They don't even want you in the crowd. Why would they be in the Apex? I don't even want you there. Just shut up and watch the fucking TV. They don't care anymore. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. A lot of things need to change. A lot of things need to change.